watching Rogers TV.
Welcome to this week's episode of LdnOnt TV here on Rogers TV. I'm your host, Bronagh Morgan, and this is, well, it's a show where we talk about what you're talking about, our viewers in London, Ontario, southwestern Ontario, and beyond. And so we have our guest today joining us from beyond. I just discovered that joining us from Kingston, I believe, but is going to be coming to visit London April 13th, appearance at Chapters, because he's got a book that you're going to want to read when you find out who wrote it, Bill Welychka. If that's a name that's familiar to you, a storied career as a VJ before moving on to, I think, news broadcasting and doing all kinds of interviewing of interesting people, and is now an author and has taken the time to join us from Kingston today. So thank you for being here, Bill.
Thank you so much for having me. What an honor. Thank you so much, Bronagh.
Well, so I'm sure a lot of people would love to hear all kinds of things about your career, which I assume is the subject of the book. I haven't had a chance to read the book yet, but let's, for our viewers who do not know the name, give them the little history of Bill and who this person is joining us today that you will get to meet at Chapters in April.
For sure. Yeah, I started off at Much as an editor, Much Music, and ended up on the air hosting a country show. That would have been 92. And then I got moved over to regular flow VJing for Much Music in 94. Did that for 6 years and then jumped to Much More Music, our newly created sister station, more of an older audience for music fans across Canada. Did that for 5 years and got a little disillusioned with entertainment journalism and coverage and how it was being presented. And then did a year, make it sound like prison. Did a year in Edmonton hosting for City TV when they rebranded and did the morning show there. I was in Ottawa for an affiliate for 6 years, and I've been in Kingston for 12 years here with Chorus Entertainment. So, and London, very important to me. My brother and his wife Jan lives there. My two nephews, Brett and Quinn, and Brett was with the London Knights on that stellar team with Mitch Marner and Max Domi and a bunch of other players that have made it to the pros. And Brett is playing pro in Germany right now. So yeah, strong London connection. I'm looking forward to coming back.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to visiting with you in April. So the reason for the visit, other than the fact that you love to visit beautiful London, UNESCO Music City, as we were chatting about before the broadcast as well, and all of the other wonderful things that London has to offer, but you are on a book tour.
Yeah, it came out late last year. It's called A Happy Has-Been. People are really annoyed by the title. I think it's hilarious. There are people that only know me from a specific point in television, and you might be in Vancouver, you might be in St. John's, and if you hear the name Bill Welychka, you'll think, oh, I remember that guy. Yeah, he used to be on Much Music. Where is he now? Is he dead? Whatever happened to him? There are people that have followed my career since then that know where I am now, and there are people in Eastern Ontario who didn't know that I had this extensive music journalistic past. So it encompasses all of that, and I explain why a has-been. And the most important part of the title, though, is the happy part for me.
Well, that's coming through, even though we're on Zoom. So yeah, it's the perfect title for a book. Okay, so what inspired you to become an author when you've been doing broadcasting for so long? Why the switch? And I guess you're still broadcasting, though, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. With Chorus Entertainment, it's a global affiliate, and radio here as well. But I never set out to write a book. I know it sounds weird, but during COVID, all these podcasts kept coming up, and I kept getting asked, "Can you be a guest on this podcast? How about this podcast?" And they wanted to talk about my career and who I've interviewed, and share some stories. And I thought, okay. At the same time, I was interviewed for this Much Music documentary, which came out last year that toured Canada, that I was on some dates for. So I just started writing one day some stories that I was relaying, and stories that I'd forgotten about that they were prompted, and I thought, I remember that. And I started writing one weekend, started writing a few weekends following that, and I remember revisiting the notes and just started organizing them and realizing, I think this is a book I have here. I think I'm writing a book. I had no idea. Just kept at it. I did that for about a year and a half until it was done, and found a publisher. And people are digging it. And it surprises me that how big nostalgia is and how much people want to look back and be remembered. And at the same time, this Much Music, as the book's released, this Much Music documentary was coming out. And like I said, it toured across Canada. I did some dates, and these amazing Q&As after the broadcast, after the screenings, as well as the book being in bookstores across Canada. It was like everything from my past was hitting me in the head all at once.
That sounds
weird.
dangerous.
I don't recommend living in the past too much. I've always liked to look forward, but it was a nice time. It still is a nice time to share some stories and look back and hear other people's stories about what Much Music meant to them and what some of the interviews meant to them. It blows my mind.
Oh, that's beautiful. So yeah, that's
beautiful.
It absolutely is. So the writing process, it sounds like it wasn't a slog for you. It sounds like something that you really enjoyed doing during the process.
Yeah, because I didn't have to do it. No one was waiting for it. And plus, I've been asked for years, you should write a book. You have so many stories. You should write a book. And to me, it always would go in one ear and out the other. I thought, well, who's going to care? Who's going to want to read stories about being at Madonna's house or, whatever, who I've interviewed? And I just thought no one's going to care. And people apparently care. And I'm glad I did it. And I wasn't forced to write a book. And I took my time with it. And then when I thought it was done, I handed it into the publisher. Paul Langlois from The Tragically Hip did the foreword. So to me, that was the final piece of the puzzle, was having someone like him, and I adore the Hip, to do the foreword. And like I said, I had no idea that it was going to sell all over Canada and in Poland and Germany, the U.S.
So my
publisher says, you have book sales in Germany and Poland, Great.
Is this going to turn into an international book tour?
No. I think, like I said, I don't mind looking back too much. I don't want to make a living out of looking back, though. There might be a second book. There might be a second edition. I'll play with that idea later.
Fantastic. And so for those people,
I just don't want to make anyone mad who's bought a book already, and then this year there's like edition number 2, and they're like, "Didn't I just buy this freaking thing?"
Well, they
could
could
put out another one. No.
Libraries probably carry it as well, so they could, if they didn't want to make another investment, they could pick it up at their local library, which is obviously
I've heard of some people that I've rented it from their library.
Nice.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. Did you ever think that you'd end up being that guy?
No. Not at all. But that's the beautiful thing about what I found out from the book tour and meeting people. The first round, April is the second big round for the book tour. It's just hearing other people's stories about what Much Music meant to them and how they explain it to their kids, because there's a whole generation that doesn't know what Much Music is.
That's a tragedy for them.
Yeah, and what it meant to Canada and Canadians and music fans and the music industry. But just hearing, it's amazing how, people say, "Oh, I used to run home from school to watch Much Music." I did too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I did as well. And then to be working there one day, it was amazing. And the book talks about perfect circles and how, having patches on my jean jacket of Led Zeppelin or Ozzy Osbourne or Iron Maiden or The Cure or pictures in my room or pictures in my locker at school, and then interviewing all these people, all those years later, had these perfect circles, and hearing from people that, oh, I watched that interview you did with Garth Brooks, and I have it on tape, and I've watched it, and it sounds weird, but I learned, and I've heard this from enough people, that I might have been the source of some people's perfect circles after them buying a book, which blows my mind, and I don't take it for granted. I am humbled and realize how fortunate I am to be in that position.
Hence the happy part. Bill, we have to take a break, and then we're going to chat a little bit more, because I want to hear maybe about a couple of these perfect circles that you've been hearing about while you've been touring with the book. And I'm sure our viewers would
Bronagh.
love to hear more about your journey from Welland, Ontario, right? Niagara Falls native, so I had to bring that up, to where you are right now. So please stay with us, and we'll have more with Bill Welychka after the break.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Carbon monoxide is a deadly gas you can't see, smell, or taste.
Homes with fuel-burning appliances and/or attached garages must have working CO alarms installed outside all sleeping areas.
Don't let the silent killer get you. Install working CO alarms today.
My name is Marissa Modeski. I'm Western University's registrar, and really excited to welcome future Mustangs to our March 23rd Spring Open House. We invite all students to come to campus that day with family and friends, and the schedule is really designed so that you can choose your own adventure. It's a great opportunity to experience the campus, to meet with our professors, current students, your future classmates, and staff. And we'll be offering tours of our recreation center, library. We have campus walking tours, and we have campus bus tours. And we also really encourage our students to tour their future home away from home.
Welcome back to LdnOnt TV here on Rogers TV. Having a cool conversation with somebody that I remember from when I would run home to watch Much Music at the end of the day. Bill Welychka, he's coming to London in April, talk about his book, A Happy Has-Been, but still working in the field of journalism. So how many years? Unless that's a sort of, we don't have to do math today. A while.
This year marks my 36th year in media and broadcasting. I started when I was 2.
Oh, okay. Understood. Yeah.
Do the math. Yeah, I am 38.
Wow. Hanging in there. You're keeping it together. So
I got to tell you who looks great. I was once seeing a girl from London. Her name was Jill Forrestal, and we're still friends. I still keep in touch with her. She still looks 29. I don't know what it is about London.
Got lots of wonderful air. We have a lot of, I don't know if you've heard, it's called the Forest City. So the wonderful oxygen, right?
Lots of oxygen. Well, Bronagh only looks 25 herself, so I don't know what's going on in London. But
yeah. It's a great place to be. So you're going to have a great visit when you come see us. So back to journalism, though, right? So I've been in journalism. I think maybe 5 years now. I've been doing, not as long as 5 years, maybe 4 years. I've been doing this show. Obviously, you hinted a little bit about it before, about how journalism has changed over the course of your career. You give us some of your insight as somebody who's been working in this field for so long.
Well, especially entertainment journalism. And, when I used to watch Much Music or, you know, the New Music, which was a music magazine show on City TV out of Toronto, and then eventually working at Much Music for years and years, there was a time and place where we could let interviews breathe, get into really cool subject matter. And if it was a live interview, even an intimate interactive, spend an hour and a half with an artist and have fans nearby, and they get to ask questions and we get to see them perform. And if you were a music fan, it was the destination to tune into, to follow your favorite artists or to fall in love with someone you never heard of before.
Absolutely.
And that stopped happening, I think, around the early 2000s. At this point, I went to much more music to concentrate on doing interviews and not necessarily the delivery of the product, but just, focusing on interviews, which I loved and I still love and I still do. But we had a new director of music programming, and I had just come back from a David Bowie interview that I was going to turn into an hour special. This signature series I created for Much More Music called The Story Of. We're going to use my new David Bowie interview. And I got asked, is David Bowie going to get ratings? And I thought, oh, wow. I think I'm done with entertainment journalism. And then what you started to see, and it was on Entertainment Tonight Canada, it was on Entertainment Tonight, just the presentation of entertainment. It was a 5-second soundbite on the red carpet. Who are you wearing? It was OK Magazine or Hello Canada talking about cellulite or who's in rehab, and anything to do but the creativity and the love and the art of music is where our industry went. And sadly, it's still like that, I think. I don't want to sound like this bitter old guy going, I remember a time when, no, but it's true. There was a time when entertainment television meant something. And that's changed. And, I got out of it at a certain time where I started to see the changes happening. And, I miss watching really good music interviews. And I'm not saying that's what I did, really good interviews, but my YouTube channel has a lot of some of those old specials on there, and they get a lot of hits. So I think if given the time and the inclination, I think there's an interest from people who want to sit and watch and spend time watching a documentary or a special on their favorite artists, because,
that's what I was curious about. When you were talking before about that circle, like it seems like there really is a demand for this kind of more in-depth, really getting to know the art and the artist, right? So,
and I think, and people say, well, people have a short attention span these days. Well, yeah, that may be true. Look at what TikTok is all about, 1-minute videos or Instagram. But I think if given the time and the inclination, I think people do have time to sit and get into something with a little bit more substance and a little bit more meat on it. I know I do, and I love music,
right?
Like anyone else. That I would invest that time to watch a really good interview.
So, in terms of the interviews that you have been a part of over the course of your career, aside from this one, do you have like any that really stand out in your mind as being just like that was one for the ages?
Oh, I saw what you did there, Bronagh.
Right.
Yeah. There's so many, and I mean that because of what I mentioned earlier about the book is full of perfect circles, and that is the idea that I've been following music and buying music since I was in kindergarten. I'm not a musician, but music has impacted me in such a way.
Don't pick up a guitar. Don't sing back up.
I know 3 chords on the guitar. I can play a sloppy version of Night Moves by Bob Seger. But yeah, there are so many artists that I had pictures of them in my locker in high school or in my bedroom wall, or doodles on my notebooks, or patches or buttons on my jean jacket. And I've interviewed every single one of them, and that is all the remaining members of Led Zeppelin and Ozzy Osbourne on his plane. And I mentioned Bob Seger. Yeah, Bob Seger, and hanging out with Kiss for a couple of days. And just there's so many, and they all get talked about in the book. But the book is more than these experiences. There is also some life lessons I learned along the way. Hopefully, you get to my age and 29. Well, I'm a little older. But you learn a few things. And and things that I like to pass on to people. So the book is about that as well.
So without
But yeah, so many stories. I don't go home to listen to Madonna, but I totally respect her. A lot of the artists that I would interview or play on Much Music, I don't necessarily wouldn't go home and listen to, but there's something fascinating about everyone, and everyone has a story. And I talk about this in the book, and that I don't know if my story is any more interesting than anyone else's. I'm sure you have a story. Tim in the control room has a story, and how fortunate enough for me to share my story. Absolutely. I don't know if I answered your question, but
we got around to it. It was a circle.
Yeah.
And you did mention the foreword of the book was written by a member of the Tragically Hip. How did that come about?
They're one of my favorite bands, first and foremost, and I've been interviewing them since the mid-90s, and I've probably interviewed them more than anyone else in the world at this point. And Gord Downey too, who sadly missed Gord Downey. And when I moved to Kingston 12 years ago, solidifying relationships with the guys because they're from Kingston. And I just saw Paul Langlois tonight, but yeah, Paul Langlois did the foreword to my book. When I asked him to do it, he said, yeah, sure. When the book was done and I turned it into the publisher, I emailed him and I go, oh, by the way, Bud, I need the foreword this week. Publisher needs it. We're going to print soon. And he goes, okay, give me a few days. Him and Joanne, his wife, were in Costa Rica. And this was about a year ago now. Yeah. He sent it to me 3 days later, and I read it and I cried just because it's such beautiful words. All the guys, it's a testament to all the guys and how beautiful they are as human beings. They're generous, very charitable, to the point where not a lot of people know how much they do for charity. And Gord Downey, what an amazing figure, but all the guys are. And so, I just had this mental picture. He was in Costa Rica on vacation, banging away at his computer on a beach with a beer in one hand, maybe a smoke in the other, doing this forward for the book. So, very grateful.
Yeah, beautiful storytelling right there. I think that's probably giving us a little bit of a taste of what we could find in this book.
And I love all the guys, and a lot of Canadians do for very good reason. And I talk about why I think the Hip are so great in the book as well. But it's not just Canada. There's, in America, all over the world, they have touched people with their music and with Gord's poetry.
So for those people who want to meet you and meet the storyteller, can you just remind us how we can meet up with you when you're coming to London in April?
Stoked to be at the chapters in the North End of London. It'll be Saturday, April 13th, I think from 5 to 9 p.m. So 4 hours. When I was doing a bit of a book tour on the weekends late last year, it was interesting in that, there were people waiting, which blew my mind. And there was lots of hugs. And one of the things that surprised me is just hearing how much music has touched their lives in so many ways. And that touches me. And again, I felt so blessed. So hoping for those same feelings when I'm going to be in London. But again, I'll be there for a couple of days. Maybe I'll see Jill again. I don't know. And certainly hanging out with my brother and his wife, Jan. At that point, Bill Welychka will be still in Germany, finishing off the hockey season, but I will see Quinn, my other nephew, there.
We'll be happy to roll out I guess if it's a Forest City, we'll be happy to roll out the green carpet for you. So looking forward to the visit. We've got to take another break. We've got something awesome lined up for our viewers after this. But Bill Welychka, thanks for the chat.
And I'll hang out with you too, Bronagh.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
See you in April. And viewers, stay tuned because we've got a special treat for you after the break.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
This is a man's heart, a heart in desperate need of medical attention. But because 78% of Indigenous people experience racism in healthcare, he may not get the help he needs. Become an ally. Rise above racism in healthcare.
Hi, my name is Veronica Antipolo, and I am the manager of the Social Enterprise Incubator at Pillar Nonprofit, and I'm also a professional storyteller, and I am this week's guest on Pollinating Purpose.
Hi everyone, my name's Emily Febry. I'm also known as Ranger M. I'm an environmental communicator and educator, and I get to talk to a lot of different people about all things nature and conservation. I love to knowledge share, and that's what I want to do with you. So come on, let's go learn with Ranger M.
Welcome back to LdnOnt TV. You're here on Rogers Television. What a fantastic conversation with Bill Welychka. What can I say? It was a great chat. We've got a special treat, though, to wrap up this episode as well, back by popular demand from our show about the Essence and Culture Awards. Z&B, winners of the Gospel Contemporary category, to wrap up this broadcast. Hope you'll enjoy this performance and tune in again next week.
All this while I'm hearing all the memories so clear. All I need is your love. I'm in need of your love, but my mind can't comprehend why I'm running from your love. All I need is your love. I'm a mess, I confess, but the broke you won't forsake. I am desperate, show your face. No more running away, no more space for pain. Your love never fails, ancient of days. Without you there's no gain. Author of my days, so true when I'm running back to you. I'm starting again, all I need is your love. Your love is all that I want. All I need is your love. I'm in need of your love. All I need is your love. It is more than enough. All I need is your love. Your love is good. Your love is kind. Your love is patient with me. It never fails. Your love. Your love is good. Your love is kind, your love is patient with me. It never fails. Your love.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
These days at your local Legion, we're marching to the beat of a different drum. On a mission to support veterans, to have fun, and to welcome everyone to our ranks. You don't have to be a veteran to join the Legion. And as a member, you'll join thousands of others serving our veterans, our communities, and our country. Oh yeah, and our Member Perks program will save you thousands on shopping, dining, products, and services across the country. Join us at Legion.com.